pretty interesting diag today. Had a 2011 Toyota Corolla in. Warning lights on the dash. Customer says they cannot communicate with the car with their scan tool. They tried multiple scan tools. So I'm just hooked up with the Autel. We're going to see what happens on a full vehicle scan. This didn't pull the VIN when I first hooked up, so that was like my first clue that it's probably not going to have communication, because this year on a 2011 I never have issues with like an auto ID. So you could see most of the modules are pinging no communication on the CAN network, and we have, looks like 2 or 3 that are communicating on a secondary network. So let's jump right into this one. I love utilizing my desk and my work van. It's just super convenient for looking at diagrams. So I just pulled up a quick diagram from Identifix just to see the layout of the network, see if we have the DLC connecting directly to the network. Some cars, usually not these older ones, they'll have like a gateway module or something in between, so it's not really the best to scope it at the DLC, but this looks like a regular network. I love that Toyota uses these junction connectors. It just makes it a little bit easier to do testing. So scoped into the DLC right here, and this already looks kind of like a bad waveform. The voltages kind of look off. I don't really see any like communication packets or anything like that. Let's do a little bit of a zoom in. It looks like the reds were actually clipped in the screen recording on this one. So disregard that like clipping red. It wasn't like that on my scope in person. But let's just jump right into factory service and see where we go. So I like to just note which modules have the terminating resistors. So you can see we have engine control module has one, and then combination meter, which is the instrument cluster, has the other one. So just a good note to have while you're doing these. So got the factory diagram here. It's a little cut off in the bottom, but the bottom left module was the engine control module. So essentially I just want to scope 6 and 17 and see if I have any communication there. So I have good communication here. So I'm going to jump this over to the DLC, and that's going to be my starting ground. So I got those wires just jumping the engine control module over to the DLC, and you can see I have communication with it. Basically just taking these 2 wires and just jumping them over to the DLC just to see if I can communicate with the scan tool. So I'm just adding some leads in here, jumping modules over to the DLC one at a time, and just waiting to see this waveform drop out. So we're doing another module right here, and you can see once I plug this module in, we get a terrible looking waveform. And then I'm just going to unplug it and plug it in here. I'm just disconnecting one of the wires for the module, not both of them, but you can see the entire waveform changes with it connected or unconnected. So at this point, I'm just going to check the other ones and make sure none of the other modules have an issue. And if all the other modules are good, we're going to focus on the one that's taking down the network. So all the other modules are good on there, and it was narrowed down to the steering angle sensor that was causing the communication issue. So you can see everything's plugged back together now. I took all my jumpers out, and you can see whenever I plug in this steering angle sensor, communication drops out, and you could even hear my VCI lose communication. So just every time that steering angle sensor gets plugged in, it pulls it down. So this was just a little process that I used to determine this was the module pulling down the network, just isolating it one at a time. So whenever condemning a module, I always just load test powers and grounds just to make sure that there's no issues there. This one looks like it's doing pretty good. Last thing I'm going to do is just scope the communication wires at the steering angle sensor. Just want to make sure I have a good waveform here too. So this one looks pretty good. Gonna swap it over to the other wire, see what that one looks like. Also looking pretty good. Voltages look within range. So this is checking out to just be a bad steering angle sensor pulling down the network. So here's just a little capture. This is what the CAN high and low looked like together with that steering angle sensor unplugged. Just a good normal waveform now. Everything communicates, obviously, except for what I have unplugged. And then the fault codes that are set are just related to that steering angle sensor. So we got this one completely back together, and I just left that steering angle sensor unplugged, made the customer aware of what they're going to need to get. And then that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. I hope you guys like this type of content. Let me know if you like these in the field videos, or if you like more of the technical ones of the diagrams I show online. But I'll catch you guys on the next one.